What is up, wrestling fans? Welcome to another Pay-Per-Viewpoint edition of the Smark Out Moment Smack Talk podcast. I'm your host, as always, Tony Mango, and joining me, as always, is Callum Wiggins.
Just a bunch of guys about to go down under.
I wish I had a good response to that.
But we should probably do these predictions first, though.
And also joining us on the line here, the Dace Man, Chris Dace.
Hey. That's all I got.
So yes, we are indeed talking about Australia. We're going to give our breakdown of the best things to eat at Outback. I tend to go with the Outback sirloin and loaded baked potato. No sour cream, though. And either the potato soup or, you know, if I'm feeling a little bit healthy, maybe like the green beans or something like that. We're not talking about this today. I really wish we would.
Yes, it's not snack talk this week.
I am pretty hungry now, but no, we are talking about something less interesting, which is the Super Showdown event. WWE decided that they weren't going to have as many pay-per-views this year, and promptly added 3 after that. So no Mercy, no Roadblock, no Great Balls of Fire, which of course that's fine with me. No Battleground, and no Clash of Champions, but we get the Greatest Royal Rumble, and Crown Jewel, and Evolution, and Super Showdown. It's in East Melbourne, Victoria, Australia. It's taking place at the Melbourne Cricket Ground. They're making a big deal about this at the whole setup of like, wow, we're going to go to Australia. It's going to be this giant, massive show, like 70,000 people or whatever like that. And this is the card that they have. I have been referring to it as a glorified house show ever since they've pretty much started to announce everything. And it hasn't gotten all that much better. A couple things are on the line. A couple things could be kind of interesting, but for the most part, I'm just not into this in the slightest bit. How are you guys feeling about this card?
Great. It's going to be on at a time where I can actually watch it live. So, but yeah, it's a house show, but there are a couple of interesting aspects to it, and there's enough scope for me to believe there might be 1 or 2 total changes. So overall, I can't complain too much.
I run the fear that I bought concert tickets for Saturday to go to Rock Allegiance to see specifically Fozzy, and that son of a bitch goes down under instead of actually fulfilling his obligations in Philadelphia. I'll be pissed. So I'll let you know around 2:45 when Fozzy's supposed to take the stage.
Well, that'll be over by then, because this is going to start, for people in, you know, the East Coast like you and I, starts at 5 in the fucking morning.
Yeah. So I'll be disappointed before I go to the concert. That's fantastic. If he fucking shows up there, I'll be pissed.
I'm not expecting that. I'm expecting this to be the type of show that, when push comes to shove, if we get no title changes and nothing happens, I don't want to hear anybody complaining and going, well, you know, I thought that this was going to be better than that. This show is looking like shit to me in so many ways, and I get the feeling that they dangled this Undertaker Triple H thing as like a distraction, because if you look at Hell in a Cell and you look at Super Showdown, they're kind of copy and paste in a lot of ways. And the other stuff that wasn't taking place at Hell in a Cell, that isn't like some 4-3 match or something like that, is like inconsequential and house showish. Like, it's the type of thing you'd see on Monday Night Raw, or, you know, like, let's just pair random people up for the sake of having like a weird pairing on a random live event type of thing. And I mean, we might as well get started with one of those matches here, which John Cena's making his return, which he's been a bit player here and there for 2 years now. And that in itself is like, oh, cool, John Cena's back. He's teaming up with Bobby Lashley to fight Kevin Owens and Elias. I love Elias. I love Kevin Owens. I'm a fan of John Cena. Not a fan of Bobby Lashley. And this whole setup here has been Bobby Lashley. Not digging it.
Yeah, I thought it was weird that Cena didn't even make it like an appearance on the Go Home Raw. Like, to me, that is very dismissive of how important this show is in Australia. That if you don't have Cena show up the Monday night before, that they don't even take it seriously.
He's in China right now, and he said something along the lines of like, yeah, I don't have any plans to go back to America for like a while. And he's just like, yeah, I'm having fun in China and stuff. Like, I'll head over to Australia when I can. Like, you know, which is just sort of like, okay, then don't bother, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Not that this would be better if it didn't have Cena in it, but it's kind of like, it already sucks, and Cena's involvement isn't going to make me go, like, I like Cena, but I'm not going to be like, oh man, this is so fucking great. Like, you know, it's just kind of, I guess the philosophy I can have behind it is like, if the build to something is like 5 weeks or whatever worth of I don't give a shit, by the time we get to the match itself, I already don't give a shit.
Well, I imagine Cena will be in like full house show mode, which is, okay, I've got my 5 moves, and so I'll just use those when I get the hot tag. Or if he's the one that's like giving the like the tag to Lashley, because Lashley is like the focal point of this match, then obviously he'll just do his little part. He'll just sell and sit down for as long as he possibly can before getting the tag. It just seems very much built up to a standard babyface team against a heel team, which will have probably more comedy spots than it needs to have, and then both babyfaces hit their finishes and win the match, probably pinning both guys at the same time.
Yeah.
I have to admit, though, the Seattle promo with Elias and Kevin Owens, where the crowd wouldn't shut the hell up.
That is one of the best Raw moments of the year. But the sad thing about it is that it can't translate to this type of show, because they can't really use the Seattle heat to get the Australian fans to start doing them as well. It's like, God, you guys don't have a basketball team either. It's like, that's not going to translate. Have a go at their cricket team or something.
It is kind of weird though, because it was like, that's such a generic insult, and they do that all the time, and it's just kind of like, oh, you know, I'm in this crappy town of Boston, or like, well, you know, I'm stuck here in Minneapolis, and it's like, boo, fuck you, I like my town, like that kind of thing and stuff. Where like, it's been a while since the Lakers won this, or, you know, like different things like that, and that's, I mean, you expect some boos, but that was like 6 minutes or something of just like, no, fuck you, we want those Supersonics back, and
it's really put me off ever visiting Seattle, because the people there seem very petty.
Well, I mean, that's great and all, like you said, but it's kind of one of those things where you're right. Where does this translate to the Australian crowd? Elias can come out there and he can do something anti-Australian, but it's probably not going to get anywhere near the same reaction. And the only thing that probably would be the type of thing that would be pushing the buttons so much that WWE wouldn't want to do it because it wouldn't be PG or something like that. Like, I don't know, like insulting whoever the prime minister is or something like that, you know, like
kicking kangaroo. Yeah, kick a kangaroo in the face or something.
Yeah, hit one with the guitar. Go for it. But like, this match is just so inconsequential, and there might be some fun spots to it, but I'm looking at it in the same regard. It's two baby faces play around with the heels, and they both look like shit, and then they pose in the end.
Sounds about right. Babyface wins. Not much more to say on that one, really. It's, like you say, it's just a match there to be the match. So to get John Cena on the card.
Yeah. You go in the same predictions, Dace? Babyface is winning?
Yeah. It just doesn't make any sense to do it the other way. Like, if they try to extend this, dear God.
And we also have another just like, let's just throw these people on the card kind of a thing. And at least this one makes sense because they're Australian, which is the IIconics against Asuka and Naomi, where they were essentially looking at this and going, well, the IIconics are Australian. What can we do with them? And they're like, I don't know, Asuka and Naomi have nothing going on. Let's just fucking tag them up. Which, that sucks, because Asuka has fallen drastically this year. Like, she went into this year being a major star, undefeated, going to WrestleMania, guaranteed to win the title, all this other kind of stuff. And now the best thing she can go for herself is a random tag team with Naomi where she'll probably lose. Just because they have no other better options for this. Yeah, it's really bad.
Yeah, you kind of just said everything you needed to. That Asuka's not a draw anymore. She doesn't have any sort of intrigue surrounding her. And it wasn't even a case of her losing that really lost it. It's just the fact that they just didn't. She lost, and then they decided, okay, so she's just like everyone else. Which is fine to an extent, but it's more along the lines of, okay, so she's like everyone else, and that means we're just not going to use her for a lot of the time. So she just falls into this tag team with Naomi, just leading to more speculation that there's going to be a women's tag team championships being introduced at some point soon. So you have to have women's tag team matches on like these shows, and it makes sense. It does. I don't know why it should amaze me, but it does kind of amaze me that the IIconics have been on the main roster since April, and this is their first ever match on a special event.
Really?
Yeah, they haven't. Maybe they've done like the pre-show or something like that, but they've never appeared like on a main card yet.
They got boned by the fact that they went back to dual pay-per-views instead of single pay-per-views.
Yeah, and like one of them couldn't even get into the women's Money in the Bank match or something like that. So, like, it's taken them this long, and it's only because it's in their country that they're on it. And I imagine, because WWE tends to do this sort of thing, that they're going to come out and say stuff like negative about not so much Australia in general, just Melbourne. Say that they're from Sydney or something like that instead, just to try and get that heat instead. Because like they're not going to like make Asuka and Naomi the heels for this match. They'll just say, "Oh, you're on this because you're Australian," just to get the first initial pop, and then they cut a promo where they turn against the crowd, and then you get into the actual match.
God damn it, they're gonna do that.
It's just the typical way of doing it. It's also a way that they can, like, not get so many people annoyed about the fact that they're probably going to have somebody from, like, the only two people on this show that are from Australia, well, except Buddy Murphy, obviously, but we'll get to him later. But like, lose a match.
Yeah, that's gonna happen. They'll come out. They're from Sydney. They'll do the whole like, yeah, like it's so great to be back in Australia, and everybody's like, whoa, yeah, I like my town, my country, you know, whatever. And then they go, yeah, but you know, it's not as good as Sydney. And then, oh, here's my impression of the people from Melbourne. I'm from Melbourne. You know, it's like, So we're gonna have like a 4-minute promo attached to this. God, this card is gonna drive me fucking crazy.
Tony, you've only just started. Come on, keep up the pace.
It's. I apologize in advance for the post show for this. I'm going to be fucking exhausted, and I'm going to be so annoyed. I know it. It's just going to be what it is. And maybe the saving grace here is if they can get Asuka to come out with like a glowy outfit, and she starts trying to do Naomi's dance. Then I'll be fucking laughing, at least. Or Naomi comes out dressed up as Asuka. Just fucking do that, you know? Yeah, you know what? Since you brought that up, babyfaces win that too.
Yeah, I don't see the logic in having. Well, actually, I do. Which is the sad thing, just because they could probably just roll up Naomi or something like that. But my gut says Asuka and Naomi wins.
I agree.
God, this card. We got the Tag Team Championship on SmackDown on the line between the New Day and The Bar, and the main driving force behind this is essentially, you fucked up my pancakes. Which is like...
Right, we need to have a serious talk about how much the New Day suck. And that's not... I love everything about the New Day once the bell rings. And then once the bell like the second bell rings and the match is over, I hate every single aspect of what their characters are right now. This pancake thing has been going on for a year, and what's it accomplished? Do they actually sell pancakes now?
No, I don't think so.
Branded pancakes or anything like that? Like what? at least with the Bootio stuff, there was a point to it. Like, move to some other breakfast cereal. Do something about waffles or like cereal bars or like fried eggs or something. Just like, move away from these pancakes. Doesn't do anything for them.
They probably could have done like a cereal bar and called it like Bootio bars or something like that. Booty bars. I don't know why they didn't do that. That's kind of
Well,
strange.
that'd be a mix of them and like the bar. So they'd have to like team up with Sheamus and Cesaro to do that one.
I just don't get how, like, I mean, we did this whole setup between a bunch of different tag teams where it was like, you're going to earn a title shot at Hell in a Cell, and the bar came up short. And then it's like, before Hell in a Cell happened, and the bar had already lost their chance to win a tag team title shot, they had already announced that these two teams were fighting. So it was like, all right, well, I wonder who's going to win between Rusev Day and the New Day, because we already know the bar, the losers of the title shot, are going to get another title shot anyway. They announced so many things for this card before the card for Hell in a Cell, and it really just was like, let's copy and paste, let's split the difference, let's not put any effort into this thing. Now, I think that this will be a good match, as far as just like, you know, in-ring quality goes, but this feud has nothing for it. And I want pancakes.
Yeah, like I say, when the bell rings, I like the New Day, and so this should be one of the better matches on the show, just because these two teams are great at what they do. I'm saying that the titles stay with the New Day, because this is a glorified house show.
What do you think of Dace?
Same thing. I really think that WWE just got themselves in a pickle by doing all these weird random shows in October, because now you had Hell in a Cell, which is probably like their last legit pay-per-view, and then Survivor Series usually has all that special stuff, so sometimes titles aren't defended, and then you won't get another one till like December. So they're just such an awkward place, and that's why I think we're getting so many repeats. But I don't think any championships will change hands in Australia.
I think one might, and that's the Cruiserweight Championship. Cedric Alexander is he's defending it against Buddy Murphy, and Buddy Murphy is from Melbourne, so there's that little, element to it. I can't imagine Buddy Murphy coming out and cutting an anti-Melbourne promo like the IIconics.
No, the crowd will just, they'll do what they always do with Cedric Alexander, which is just sit on their hands for the entire performance.
I think Cedric Alexander is great in the ring.
Yeah, but he's so bland.
As a character, character-wise, he is.
Like, I might as well just be watching like a stick figure wrestle, which would be more entertaining, because I've been wondering how he's managing to lift all their things up with such like stringy arms. But instead, I'm watching like Mr. Generic, who's held the championship for way, way too long.
Stick figure versus broom, WrestleMania 35. I'm down for it. When the fuck do those tickets go on sale? Speaking of WrestleMania 35. Don't they usually go on sale like not that much after SummerSlam? And it's
usually this month at some point.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if it's the beginning or the end. They're probably so friggin' tied up doing all this like places that are making them more money than WrestleMania that they forgot.
Crown Jewel will come and pass, and it'll be November 3rd, and they'll be like, all right, now we're heading towards Survivor Series is coming up. What the fuck? We gotta do the WrestleMania thing, And then we'll get some random thing where it'll be like Monday afternoon. They'll go, tickets go on sale in 8 minutes. Yeah, I'm hoping Buddy Murphy wins the title here. He has proven himself as one of the most entertaining people in 205 Live in the ring. I think he should have been a potential choice to win it back when he was originally feuding with Alexander. And even though there's some issues down the line with, like, I would have been cool with, say, Lio Rush winning it. They're kind of fucking Lio Rush up here because they're doing that whole thing where he's a babyface on Monday Night Raw and a manager that's made to look like a weakling. And then on Tuesday nights, they record something that it's supposed to be a live show that's pre-recorded and taped and then put up on Wednesday where he's a heel again. So he's lost a lot of momentum and everything like that, but I'm kind of hoping Buddy Murphy wins here and then eventually drops it to Mustafa Ali or maybe like a Ricochet or something like that. And Murphy is a bigger, stronger guy, which we haven't had that yet for a champion, unless you kind of count Neville, but he wasn't really doing like a power thing. He was more so just like, this dude's jacked and can talk now. I want to hear the pop. I think that if Buddy Murphy wins, he'll get a big pop, and that'll maybe be one of the biggest of the night. So thumbs up as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, it should be a good match, and this is their big opportunities to have like a lasting moment with the crowd that they probably won't get to experience at any other time, which is somebody from their own city winning a WWE championship like in front of them. And there really is no downside in having Cedric Alexander lose. He's held the championship for a long time. Let's say he's done a terrible job, but he's done like an adequate job with it. And it's not like he's desperately going to be needed for Survivor Series or whatever, because the title is rarely defended outside of 205 Live anyway. So yeah, just put the title on Buddy Murphy, and even if his reign is short, then at least you have the moment here and you can move on to some fresh feuds for the belt.
What's the over-under on them creating a pre-show just to put this on the pre-show?
So you have to be up at 3 a.m.?
Yeah, fuck that. I'm going to be so pissed.
I think it's probably like similar odds to them just to getting that the Cruiserweight Championship was even supposed to be on this show in the first place.
You know what? If it wouldn't have been Buddy Murphy from Melbourne, and if it wouldn't have been the easy call to just go, well, throw a 205 Live thing on there because we don't have to invest all that time in another Raw thing. I mean, look at this card. We have a lot of people missing from this card, which is really kind of confusing to me. There's no Randy Orton. There's no Shinsuke Nakamura, which is the second pay-per-view in a row that the United States title has nothing going on for it. No Finn Balor. No, like the Raw titles, every Raw title is not being defended. It's just being represented in a different type of match.
God, there's no Connor.
At this point, Connor's fucking getting some steam. I don't know what's going on with that.
He's 2-0 at the moment. 2-0.
He's got more wins in the past 2 weeks than he has for almost the entirety of his main roster run, which is insane.
He's got a better streak than Asuka right now. God,
he does. This card is just like, I don't get it. And, God, it just pisses me off. So, rematches and stuff is their bread and butter when it comes to this. And fuck it, let's just do Becky Lynch and Charlotte Flair again. The SmackDown Women's title has been defended between those two at Hell in a Cell, and it's probably going to happen again at Evolution. And they were 2 of the 3 that happened at SummerSlam, but it's, too hard to think. So let's just go ahead and do the same thing again. And I am nervous that they're going to just put the title on Flair, just to make it where it's like, build a little bit of interest towards like, oh, what do we do now? Well, she gets her rematch at Evolution. I don't want that to happen at all.
I'd be so upset if that occurred. I'm really digging Badass Becky. And if she ends up dropping it to Australia just to drop it to that lanky bitch, I'd be so upset because there's just so much potential for her. And she just needs to get away from Charlotte. And Charlotte just needs to go, I don't know, film movies or something. Go away.
Well, she needs to be the road dog if she's Badass Becky Lynch.
Yes.
The Badass Becky Lynch. Ms. Ass is what you just call her. What are you thinking about this, Callum? Is this just like over it?
No, Becky Lynch is the highlight of SmackDown every week. She is the best character. She is the best, like the greatest babyface who's not actually a babyface according to WWE, but is actually a babyface according to the fans. That there's been since Stone Cold Steve Austin. Because it's just like you can tell that like I don't know if WWE are doing it intentionally because I don't want to give them that much credit. But it's just a sense of they're paying her so much as the heel, maybe to make her just even more over. But that again would be giving them too much credit and making them think that they're actually like giving the fans what they want and pretending that they're not. But this match should be good. The last match was good. I'm expecting a bit more of a. I'm hoping for more of a fight than a like wrestling match, but you can't have too many of those. And I think the style Samoa Joe match calls for that a little bit more than this one. So maybe this one would just be more like the technical one, and then you lead into Evolution. Because I do believe we're going to get another rematch at Evolution about this, but hopefully there'll at least be some sort of gimmick attached to it to mix things up a little bit.
I'm really also kind of hoping that they don't go the route here where they say, if they don't because I don't want them to put the title on Flair just to keep this going. But it also makes no sense if, Becky retained the title at Hell in a Cell.
She won the title.
Or she won the title. Yeah, that's what I meant to say. So she won that there. This is Flair's rematch. If Flair loses this, she shouldn't get another match.
No,
so
she shouldn't.
I'm hoping that they don't just go, yeah, but fuck it, and do it. Or that they don't go, well, the only way around that we can figure out to do in 2018, because they've done this 7 times, is let's have a no contest.
No contest, DQ finish, controversial ending, something along those lines.
And then they go oh, well, Becky, she got disqualified and Charlotte is pissed and technically Charlotte won by DQ, so that means she's entitled to another match, but this match is going to be a no DQ match. They've done this 4 times this year, specifically like that, and I'm beyond sick and tired of the repeat of that. So, at this point, literally, it makes no sense to do this, but because Evolution can only rely on the women and not anything else, they're going to need to have all hands on deck. And I would much, much rather them just go, Flair loses here. Let's go with a completely random match for Becky. Becky versus Michelle McCool. Or, you know what? Becky versus goddamn Ember Moon. It doesn't make any sense, but just anything but Flair. And they're not going to do that. They're going to do Flair.
Yeah. That's about right. So I'm going to go with the safe option, which is a Charlotte Flair victory by disqualification. That's probably the easiest way to go with this one.
Dace?
I'm going to go with badass Becky. Gun.
The one Becky Lynch. Doesn't really work all that well, does it?
I hope she finds her Chuck one day. That's all I'm saying.
That would have been Charlotte. She probably could
Yeah, well,
you probably could shorten Charlotte to Chuck or something.
People named Charles and Charlie and all that, you can call them Chuck. So
and then Rockstar Spud could be their manager, just more flamboyant.
And then all he could do is just hold their hands up and smile really big, because that's apparently something that's a thing now.
Oh, that hair.
That's got to be Vince, right? He saw Drake Maverick and said, I like that guy's smile. We should have him come out and put that smile out there all the time. Because they're making a point to, he comes out and all he does is smile.
I don't understand why, they debuted after Mania, right? And they got rid of Paul Ellering. And then 3 months later went, you know what? They need a manager. So they didn't bring back Paul Ellering.
Well, he's too old. Because the guy running the company isn't too old or anything like that. But yeah, they're not in the card either, so that's another.
Raw is. I'm gonna write up a post later on today or tomorrow that's just complaining about Monday Night Raw. So stay tuned to that on Bleacher Report.
There aren't many of those, so I really think you're tapping into a niche market there.
It's gonna be called something like breaking down everything wrong with Raw or something like that, because I just I have to complain about Chad Gable and Bobby Roode, and I just need to get some shit off my chest. That's what I need to do. One of them being the Riot Squad. Maybe Maybe it's 2 out of the 3 with Alicia Fox. That's according to the rumor right now, is we might get Liv Morgan replaced by Alicia Fox, but they had no indication of that on Monday Night Raw. So right now, tentatively, Liv Morgan is still scheduled to compete here, and she will be competing, if she does, against the Bella Twins and Ronda Rousey, because, hey, wouldn't it be more fun if instead of Ronda Rousey defending the title against somebody, we put her with the Bella Twins against the Riot Squad?
Like, why not even Bayley and Sasha, who've been feuding with the Riot Squad all summer?
Yeah.
Well, Sasha's injured. Or what I'm at least suspecting is that she got accidentally pregnant and is having that dealt with at this point. Which is why they haven't actually reported about her being injured.
Is that really, like, a thing?
That's me just being, like, wildly speculative about this stuff, just to try and stir the pot a little bit.
I still think that that's what happened with Becky Lynch.
Oh yeah, that's what I'm thinking was happening with Sasha Banks. Why else would they like? This is always the case when they like it's an injury that isn't actually an injury. Because why else wouldn't they report on it? They could just say, oh yeah, she's just got an arm injury or something like that, or she's like just resting a few like bumps or whatever. It's just like, no, we're not saying anything.
I think that's why we haven't seen Big Show back in the ring yet too.
Well, he probably could have used some like earlier in his career.
He's big showing. Hell of a joke right there.
Yeah, that's great.
I'm tired. You're not going to get the best out of me.
But for this match, like, what the hell are they thinking putting Liv Morgan in this match? Regardless of whether the concussion was bad or not, why the fuck would you risk putting her in the ring with Brie Bella again?
Well, they have to tease that spot again, right?
Don't risk doing. What the fuck? I would like if I was, I don't know, John Cena or something like that. I wouldn't risk getting a kick to the face via like Brie Bella. Like I don't want to harp on it too much because it's like mistakes do happen in the ring, so and there were just a calamity of errors on that show that wasn't just all revolving around her making the mistake. It was the referees, it was all the other people involved. But she's been back just over a month, and she's in several matches either almost injured herself by attempting suicide dives that she can't do.
Those were real bad. Like they were fucking problematic.
Yeah, she's kicked like Liv Morgan in the face twice and given her at least a small concussion. And she also did like that running knee move and like collided with Zelina Vega in the face as well. Like she is at the moment unsafe in the ring, or at least she's very, very rusty.
Eliminating the competition.
I mean,
she knows she's in her 30s and that she's not going to be welcomed any longer, so she's just taking care of it.
Just to get out the mom frustrations. I said, gotta sleep right fucking now, and it's like Liv's sitting there all concussed, and it's just kind of like, what are you talking about? Oh, nothing.
Well, I'm just getting to the situation like eventually. This isn't meant to be like detrimental towards like Zelina Vega or Liv Morgan, but if she's in these sort of big time matches going forward, especially if the rumors are correct that Nikki Bella and Ronda Rousey are going to have the match at Evolution, and so you would assume that Brie Bella would get some sort of physical involvement with Ronda Rousey down the line. If she does that sort of stuff to someone who like is really integral to like storylines going forward, then like they're probably going to wish that Daniel Bryan didn't resign or anything like that, or punish Daniel Bryan through Brie Bella because she's not a like full-time roster member. But this match, like I assume anything that will involve Ronda Rousey and Ruby Riott together will be fine, and then the rest of it's just like very uninteresting.
This is going to be the worst match of the night.
No, that's No, I think the Lashley Cena, or actually even maybe the Triple H Undertaker match will be worse than this one.
See, Ronda Rousey's proven herself enough in the ring for me to not write her out, but she's still not quite sound in a lot of different ways. But Nikki is like, she phones it in a little bit compared to what she did before the injury, and Brie is just, I mean, I don't know what she's going to botch this time. She's been terrible. But the Riot Squad, I I mean, literally, this is what I have written down, and I've had it, and I haven't changed it ever since they announced this match on the predictions thing. It says, Riot Squad is an awful stable. This would be lame in my book, even on a house show, let alone a pay-per-view. In your best Peter Griffin voice, shout it out to me. Oh my god, who the hell cares? Because it's just like, I do not give a shit about the Riot Squad. They are awful. And if they're the driving force of this random team of the Bella Twins and Rowdy Ronda Rousey, which is like, she's not all that rowdy all that much anymore. I could not give a shit about this. And they should all fuck off. Like, this is kind of like Rousey and the Bella Twins win for sure.
While I agree that the Riot Squad don't really matter too much, I love Ruby Riott enough to just like try and go past it because like she deserves so much better than she gets. If WWE is smart, they'll have the Riot Squad win by having some sort of miscommunication between Nikki Bella and Ronda Rousey that they capitalize on, and so you can build the feud off that. But I imagine that they'll have like the Bella Twins and Ronda Rousey win, and then Nikki decks Rousey from behind, and then you start building the feud from that point.
That's where I'm going.
So I'll go with the safe option.
I kind of hope that the Bellas tear an ACL as they walk down the ramp, and then the match is a no contest.
And they just go, oh, let's just put Buddy Murphy back out there. He's from Melbourne. And everybody's like, yay!
Yeah, but that's my final prediction. Bellas tear their ACL, and then no contest.
Well, the thing with this is, I mean, we mentioned this before, but if this is supposed to build towards Ronda Rousey versus Nikki Bella, which is going to be an awful match at Evolution, wouldn't it make more sense if we do end up having women's tag titles for the Bella Twins to be in the mix for the tag titles? Because what's Brie going to do at Evolution?
Hopefully stay out of the ring. It's probably... No, she's going to just be in the corner.
Watch it from home. With Birdie.
She'll either be in some throwaway like match or battle royal or something like that, or she'll be in the corner of Nikki. Maybe they'll do like Twin Magic or something like that in that match. In that regard,
well, they can't do Twin Magic anymore. They go, something's wrong here. Something's a little.
They've done that before with like just stuffing Bree's bra. So.
That's right. They did do that. Yeah, forgot about that. Yeah, to me, and this doesn't translate as big of a deal because I know Nikki Bella is still popular as hell. I'm not going to deny that. And if they do Ronda Rousey versus Nikki Bella, that turns more eyes towards that product more so than Ronda Rousey versus Ruby Riott. But ignoring the Bella Twins and their social, their influence on this is the thing that changes everything here. Because logically, this should, if you're looking at this card and then you're looking at how the next event is an all-women's card, it should be the Riot Squad wins, so they look strong, and then Ruby Riott says, we won, so I want a title match against Ronda Rousey. That's what should happen. But it's not going to. Because, hey, Bella Twins.
Well, if that was the case, they shouldn't have had Ronda Rousey beat Ruby Riott on Raw. So
yeah, well, that's, another thing to complain about. But hey, that's just what WWE does now. They throw something out there, and then it doesn't make any sense, and then they go, hey, deal with it. And one of those things is on the SmackDown side of things, but we've gotten a couple matches here between AJ Styles and Samoa Joe, and this big, giant, empty threat of, I'm gonna hurt your family, even though I was literally outside your house and didn't do anything. It turns into a no disqualification match, which they decide to build by having AJ Styles say he's going to bury Samoa Joe alive, even though it's not a buried alive match. With the wording, I don't get it. I said this before, and I'll repeat it again. If Samoa Joe does not win this title, it's a 100% sign that they are never going to give him the title. And at this point, I thought he had to win at SummerSlam. And then it was like, oh, come on, give him the title at Hell in a Cell. He cannot literally have another match after this and win it. It's just, AJ Styles either retains here and they say, we are never going to put that responsibility on Samoa Joe, or Joe actually does win here and they have one more match at Crown Jewel or something like that. That's how I see it.
I wouldn't go so far as to say that Samoa Joe would never be given the WWE Championship. It would probably be like another half a year or a year down the line after a couple more people would either like face each other for the title, or the title changed hands a few more times. But the correct decision is to have Samoa Joe win the championship here. He's done more than enough. It's a fresh face holding the belt. Gives a little bit more like pushing towards other directions. You can have other people feuding for the WWE Championship, because AJ Styles has defended the title on every single show since at least the turn of the year. So we haven't seen anybody else in that title scene, at least with the title belt. So, but I still have the feeling that he's holding on to the championship until at least the Royal Rumble. They want him to break a year, or that's at least the impression I'm getting. I can't obviously confirm that for certain, but I'm getting the impression that they want them to hold it at least through the initial stages of the video game getting released, because he's the cover star. So, and again, it's just another decision. Would be that if that was the case, that's another decision of WWE going with the money as opposed to the story. But that's their prerogative to do if they want to. And I think they'll keep the title on AJ Styles. Yeah.
I think Styles is going to end up keeping the title. I think we're looking down the tunnel at a Miz championship run shortly, and then a Miz Daniel Bryan main event at WrestleMania for the WWE Championship. To me, it just feels like they're doing essentially the same thing with Daniel Bryan they did the first time he headlined WrestleMania, where he's just going to keep getting beaten down by cheating. Miz gets a nice little run out of it, and then Bryan gets it back at WrestleMania 35.
If they do that, I don't know if I'll be happy with it or annoyed about it, because I think at this point they've already kind of exhausted Bryan and Miz a little bit. But at least it would give me the match that I thought that they should have done, even though they kind of killed some of the momentum a little bit here and there. Because in my mind, if you're going to go Bryan Miz at WrestleMania, they should have spaced out what they had done. Like, maybe do that match at SummerSlam, maybe do the mixed tag match with Maurice and Brie at let's see, I don't know, like TLC, that kind of a thing, and just have Miz be like a thorn in Bryan's side, more so than just like, let's have them feud for 2 months straight and then pick it back up in a couple months, like that kind of thing. But that is part of this, because we do have another match that's Daniel Bryan versus Miz in a number one contenders match. So whoever wins the WWE Championship, we need to factor that in too. And I think that technically there's 4 possibilities here, but I think we can rule one of them out. Miz isn't fighting Samoa Joe.
No.
It's not happening. It's not going to be the case. But we could get Bryan versus Joe, Miz versus Styles, or Bryan versus Styles. And that's sort of questionable, because they haven't said when this title shot's going to happen. They just said this is a number one contenders match for a future WWE Championship shot. It could happen at Crown Jewel, or it could happen at Survivor Series, or it could happen at TLC. I mean, technically, it could even happen on SmackDown. But Crown Jewel's the one that makes the most sense to me. And SmackDown right now, we're not getting any hints towards anything, except there's one rumor that we're not going to have Raw versus SmackDown, that we're going to have Team Angle against Team Baron Corbin, which I hope is not the fucking case. Because then that means we're back to Survivor Series being just like the same people on Raw fighting the same people on Raw again and not getting anything interesting. And then we also eliminate the whole like the Raw champion against the SmackDown champion, and then it just becomes another fucking pay-per-view. Just, you know, it might as well be the same as Super Showdown again. But there's a chance I think we could see Daniel Bryan versus AJ Styles at Crown Jewel. And if that's the case, maybe Bryan and Styles ends with The Miz screwing Daniel Bryan. And then we continue with like The Miz at Survivor Series, TLC, that kind of a thing, and something like that. That could be a way to postpone this a little bit more. I don't know. That's a tough call.
See, the way I was thinking it would probably play out is Miz wins the number one contender. He beats Styles at Crown Jewel, then ducks Styles on his rematch for Survivor Series because either he's tied up in a champion versus champion or he's leading Team SmackDown. Whatever reason, he keeps postponing that. And then you have a Styles-Miz feud between TLC and the Rumble. And then eventually Daniel Bryan will get introduced back in early next year. I would say with a Rumble win, but, you know, that's just me thinking WWE would do something that would please the crowd.
Well, one rumor that we're hearing right now is a repeat winner.
Fucking hell.
Which is making me think it's Roman Reigns or more so Batista or Randy Orton.
Fucking hell. Shawn Michaels.
And if they do this thing again, where if they have Daniel Bryan heading into the Royal Rumble to potentially fight The Miz at WrestleMania, and they go with Batista winning,
that would be so great.
Then something's happening at WWE headquarters. Somebody's just gonna be like, "God damn it, let's send that Armando guy back," or something like that.
I mean, that'll be the clearest possible indication that they are actively trying to see how far they can push their fans without them leaving.
Or Vince has Alzheimer's, and we need to he's like, "Oh, I got a great idea. This is what we'll do with Daniel Bryan." And they're like, "Vince, you did that 5 years ago. Don't you remember? Hey, look over here. Stop looking over there. Come here."
Well, shit, at that point, it'll be, all right, let's do the Roman Reigns match against Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania because it didn't work before, so let's do that again. And then the next year comes around. What did we do for WrestleMania this year? What did we do the year after that or before that? Or let's just redo other WrestleManias. Damn it, I want to relive 6 years ago.
Until they accept it, I'm going to keep doing it.
WrestleMania 36. Roman Reigns versus Brock Lesnar. Oh, God, for fuck's sake. Brock Lesnar won a Royal Rumble. He could be the repeat winner. Oh, God.
It's what I've been touting, but my minds have changed a little bit in terms of this. But in terms of my predictions for these matches, well, first of all, before I get into my convoluted projections for going forward, I will say, first of all, Daniel Bryan, stop doing diving headbutts from the top rope. It's like that is the sign of someone who is either too stupid to realise what that does or too stubborn to change a simple part of his moveset that he doesn't need to have.
Or they're foreshadowing Chris Benoit as the repeat winner at the Royal Rumble.
It's been the longest build of 11, 12 years.
I'd love it if just Stephen Richard just turns up in the middle of the thing and they decide to go, that is it. But in terms of this, my convoluted storytelling for this is that the guy that I expect holding the WWE Championship going into WrestleMania is not one of the 4 guys that's involved in the picture at the moment. I'm assuming it's going to be Randy Orton. Just along the lines of, I think you have Styles win, and then Daniel Bryan beats The Miz to become number 1 contender. They have a match at Crown Jewel. It gets interrupted by Randy Orton. Randy Orton takes out Daniel Bryan, gets the title shot himself, wins the championship. Daniel Bryan makes his return at the Royal Rumble, hopefully wins it, and then they go into the feud for WrestleMania. But then again, you could just give it to Brock instead. But, that's that'd be too easy.
And that, too, it's like, stop it, WWE. Like, we did Daniel Bryan and Randy Orton. Like,
we didn't do it like this. And that's WrestleMania, that's WrestleMania 35. It's been 5 years since then. Batista will probably be on the show as well, so I'd get that involvement as well. It just goes in cycles.
If Batista's on the card, he has to fight Roman or Strowman. It has to be.
He could fight Brock. They want to get him on that one instead.
I don't think Brock's going to be a part of it. I really hope he's off doing something else.
Well,
but
one and done. He appears exclusively in Saudi Arabia now.
Yeah, kind of.
But yeah, that's what I'm predicting Daniel Bryan to beat The Miz and AJ Styles to retain against Samoa Joe.
I don't know. If I were booking things, which of course I'm not, I would have already put the title on Samoa Joe to begin with, so that would have already thrown things off. But I really want Joe to win that title, even if it means that it screws up what's like potentially going to happen going forward. But I'm gonna go AJ Styles retaining, and either Bryan wins and Miz screws him at Crown Jewel, or Miz wins and wins that title somewhere at the end of the year. Yeah. Styles retaining too. Dace, what's your final pick with that?
Styles retaining, Miz winning the title. So I think Miz is long overdue, and for whatever reason, with the new USA show, they're probably really high on him.
They should be. Miz is awesome. That's not like no pun.
He says so himself.
Intended. Yeah. But like, how did that guy not have any titles since then? You know, I mean, he kicked ass with the not the United States, the Intercontinental title, but he really should have been WWE champion another time. Now that they have a split world title thing, they could do that. We have 2 more matches, if I am doing my tally correct. Yeah. So, you guys sick and tired of the Shield versus the quote-unquote Dogs of War yet?
I mean, it's only been happening like every single week since like the start of eternity. So
somehow they dominate 4 hours of a 3-hour Raw. So that is aggravating.
How many times would this be for like a match that has Seth Rollins against Dolph Ziggler in some capacity since the start of the year? It must be like getting to like double figures at this point.
Well, they have been feuding since
like ever.
Well,
their first
Ziggler
match was
won
like an episode of Raw where Ziggler came out and challenged, won the Intercontinental Championship in one of Seth Rollins' open challenge.
I think that was right after Mania, wasn't it? Because I think wasn't he SmackDown up until Mania?
Yeah, it was after. It was the show. It was the night after Money in the Bank, because he defended against Elias at Money in the Bank, and then he lost it the night afterwards. So it's been since June.
Since June, they've been doing this.
Yeah, so since June, it's been at least Seth Rollins and Dolph Ziggler, and then all the other elements have got. And obviously, with that, you have Seth Rollins and Drew McIntyre getting involved, and then all the other elements.
And Strowman and Roman have been fighting since last year.
Mm-hmm.
So that's nothing new. But of course, hey, let's turn Strowman heel because that'll, fucking get Roman over more. I maintain that Bobby Lashley should have been the one turning heel here.
Yes.
I would have preferred just a heel Shield. That would have been interesting, but
I mean, that would have been even more interesting, but
I mean, the least logical sense was turning Braun Strowman heel. So, but we're here now.
Plus, wouldn't it make more sense for just on this card itself, John Cena and Braun Strowman against Kevin Owens and Elias? Like, you got
absolutely,
a guy who's fun, doing fun stuff instead of just being like, oh, I guess I'm partnered up with McIntyre and Ziggler now, and we're going to fight the Shield over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. And I'm going to continually lose over and over and over again because Strowman is like, they want people to be what Strowman is. He's this giant dude who's over with the crowd, and he got over as a heel and as a babyface. And they go, nah, it's not what we want. And it's like, what the fuck else do you want this dude to do? He is funny, engaging, a monster who also does charity work. This dude nails everything you fucking want. And it's like they actively go, but damn it, we don't want him to be the champion. And it's like, it just confuses the hell out of me. And
because he's not Samoan. with like longish hair, and he doesn't have nice tattoos.
For that matter, they're killing McIntyre here too. Like, that dude could have been a legit contender for the I keep wanting to call that United States Championship, but the Universal Championship. And now, at this point, if you try to give me McIntyre versus Roman at TLC, I've seen them feud for 6 fucking months. I don't want it anymore. You know?
They are keeping him protected though, so that is probably like a likely route down the line.
I'm just so sick and tired of WWE saying, you know, let's keep something going and drag it out and drag it out. And it's one thing when, like, say, the Mega Power storyline. They did that from one WrestleMania to the next. But it was fine because we had, like, 3 events. So you really only needed to have a couple storyline elements to it. When you have 3 hours of Raw every week, and then you've got a pay-per-view, sometimes 2, sometimes 3, it seems, in a row, how many times can you do these 3 people against the Shield and not feel like you've done it 47 times by the time you get around to the end of it?
Essentially, didn't they do that on SmackDown? Like, Styles has really only feuded with Nakamura and Joe this year.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, with the Rusev buffer in between.
He had one random match with Rusev, which Rusev seems to be the random match guy because they had that matchka. He had that one thing with against the New Day. It was just sort of like, I don't know, throw Rusev in there for one pay-per-view because we can't think of anything else to do. Which is such a shame because it's like, God, if they would just... If it's a matter of them planning things out ahead of time, take 15 minutes and plan things out ahead of time. If it's a matter of them legitimately wanting to do this, I wish somebody would sit them down and force them to watch the same TV show on, like, I don't know, the flight to Australia.
You have to watch all of Raw for 2018 and think about what you get.
Yeah, just like, because it's repetitive. It's fucking exhausting. I like all 6 of these guys to a certain extent. Out of the bunch of them, Braun Strowman's the most entertaining to me. The one with the most potential for, like, going forward in the future, I think, is either Seth Rollins or Drew McIntyre from, like, just like an in-ring perspective. I've always been a big fan of Ziggler, even though I've had my issues with him being stagnant. Roman Reigns is a guy that I really, really, really want to fucking like a lot more, but they're really making it difficult. And Ambrose is like, Ambrose is cool. You know, he's got his, like, his gimmick is more like the hardcore edge, and when they can put him in a really good feud, like, he's entertaining as hell. And for 6 people in this match, I should be super into this, and I could not give a shit. This is the second biggest match of the card, and I am more interested in Buddy Murphy. That shouldn't happen, you know? And Shield wins.
If again, it goes along as if WWE was smart, because like a lot of this feud has been predicated on who's going to turn on who. Because we've had teasers, obviously, of Dean Ambrose turning on the Shield, which they've overdone to the point where if he does turn, it's not actually going to feel important anymore. And even elements with McIntyre potentially deciding to step away from Ziggler because he knows he's worth more than that, or Strowman and McIntyre throwing Ziggler out if he's proven to be the weak link. Something to that extent. So there are at least some levels of interest in like who's going to turn on who, or if any of that stuff's going to happen. The way WWE probably will do it is that Dolph Ziggler takes the pin because that's what Dolph Ziggler's there for. But then, if they were smart, they would go like have Strowman pin Roman Reigns because it's not for the championship, and Strowman is fighting for the championship at Crown Jewel, so they should give him a win before he inevitably loses that triple threat match.
And Strowman will take that pin too.
Well, yeah, he's not Brock.
God, it drives me crazy.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Shield just because Vince is going to be laughing. Fuck those 3 guys. I forgot Ziggler was there.
I think Vince does too sometimes. Finally, our main event, I'm assuming, the match that proves that WWE is not building stars. It's because they keep having to go back to the same people that have been around since the mid-90s. Undertaker versus Triple H. Last time ever. If you fucking believe that.
Bullshit.
Yeah. All reports are saying that this is not the last time.
I'm imagining like WrestleMania 40, they're going to be coming out in their Zimmer frames and still having like put on matches. I'd love to see a tombstone with a Zimmer frame or some sort of like pedigree in a wheelchair or something along those lines.
Well, for the first question I have for you guys is just, if this is, 10 years ago or 20 years ago, there's no question this is like awesome. But do you guys really feel like that's going to be something to get that invested in for this time?
I was until Michael's cowboy hat fell off. And then I was devastated.
Stone Cold Shawn Michaels.
Yeah.
Bald Michaels is not a thing I ever think I should have witnessed.
I was concerned because I have long hair because of him. And I'm like, is that my future? Like my future staring me, glaring at me through the TV? I'm devastated.
If I start seeing you wearing cowboy hats, I'm gonna know.
With a random bandana that you think's fooling everyone, which it did. Like, when he had that bandana on, I was like, oh, that's cool. I guess he's wearing bandanas now. And then when the hat popped off, it's like, oh, you were hiding the fact that you were bald, you bastard. I was really devastated.
How did he go from having long hair since, the 70s? To having short hair, and then within, 2 months after that or something like that, he's like, yeah, speaking of short hair, no hair.
Well, he's been balding, for well over a decade at this point. But it's just a case of he cut his hair short and clearly didn't like that haircut, so decided just to take it all off. These two look like...
That scares me more, too, because in a decade, that means I could start balding. And I don't want that to happen.
These two, they don't look like D-Generation X anymore. That's they're more like just a couple of, I don't know, bouncers you'd expect to see, with the bald haircut thing. It's like the complete opposite of the wild child rebels that they used to be.
It's just strange because you look at this and it's sad because it's for the best of all time, and you got bald 50-year-old D-Generation X against Mayor Kane, and I mean, Undertaker looks like a zombie now,
and his hair's pretty thin.
It's
I saw
just
that hairline.
It's sad because if WWE were to put these guys out there as just a special attraction on the card, then I wouldn't think as much about it. But they're really selling this as the main reason you should watch this. And I love The Undertaker. He is my second favorite of all time. But he hasn't been performing well. And I kind of look at that and I go, I wish that he would stop. Because it's kind of... I'm seeing more stuff online of people making fun of Undertaker than being excited about him. And that's not Undertaker to me.
Do you see him try and get... I was so concerned when he tried to get Triple H up for the tombstone. Because I looked at his face and just went, oh my God, his knees have gone or something along those lines. Because he looked like he struggled to get him up. He's 53 years old. He just had hip replacement surgery. All four competitors in this, well, obviously the two that are having the match and the two that will be outside, it's a combined age of 206 years. It's probably a larger experience of life than all the women in the six-woman tag. It's you need to stop relying on these people because like Triple H can go, and the Undertaker, maybe if he has 1 or 2 matches a year, can just do his big hits and go home. But where does it end eventually?
I blame this all on Bill Goldberg and him coming back and getting the title win, because every old guy went, you know what? I'd fucking do that. If Goldberg can do it, I can do it.
Well, Triple H would have been doing it anyway, and the Undertaker's Undertaker's shown every single sign of retirement and just said, nah. And then just like, because he knows he's going to get these huge paydays for just these one-off appearances and stuff along those lines. And Michael's like, his retirement's been bought off pretty much. So, and Kane has his own job, so he can just come up and wear the mask every now and again.
It's so strange to me that, like, I mean, we've got a guy who lost the streak at WrestleMania and then came back for, like, just the hell of it, sort of, and then did a retirement where he was essentially done with Roman Reigns. Like, that was it. And then he comes back and he squashes John Cena because what the hell? What's going on with that? And then continues to fight like a casket match with Rusev and whatever. That's one element of this match. Another element is the guy who's going to be running the company and is slowly but surely attaining that type of power, who is by far the best in the ring right now between these four, I'm assuming. But he's still like the businessman type of guy. So it's retired Undertaker who isn't retired versus the dude who controls NXT. And then in their corners, you've got another guy who's retired who keeps saying he's retired, and he's been retired for 10 years now, or 9 years, or whatever the case may be. And now the story is that he's not retired, but he's going to continue to do these kind of things. But he has even said recently that he doesn't think that he can really do anything anymore. And a mayor! Like, this dude's a mayor!
I would totally have voted for him. No,
I would have too.
Back in, like, Fire and Brimstone.
I would have too, but it's like, what are the people in that town and Knox County? Like, are they going like, hey, Mayor Jacobs, we got a lot of potholes and we need to get them fixed, but I understand you're busy because you have to fight the fucking the Undertaker.
You have to fight two like giant wrestlers with your dead brother.
You gotta head off to Australia to pretend to be a demon with your fake brother to do like.
Imagine they like walking in on him in like the office and sort of like saying like, "Oh, Mayor Jacobs, we have like these few issues for you to deal with. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't realize you were wearing the mask." He's just like sitting there with the mask on. It's like, "Oh, sorry, Kane. Right, we have to deal with you. We'll come back later or something."
Like, you know what this looks like on paper? If you look at it looks
like 1997. That's what it looks like.
No, it doesn't even look like 97 to me. This looks like when you take, in particular, if you take what Undertaker actually looks like now and what Shawn actually looks like now instead of the graphics that they've been using for those two, which are like 10 years old.
A damn lie. It's very misleading. I thought he was going to have hair.
Well, if you look at just a picture of the two next to the other two, I know Dace has probably seen this. I don't think that you have, Callum, but there's an episode of the Justice League Unlimited show where they have the Justice Lords, and it's like a parallel dimension, a different like universe where the Flash had died. And in this new version, the Justice League are this like military force that patrols the world and really kind of like oppressively controls everybody. And it's supposed to be like, hey, there's peace, but it's only peace because it's through fear and manipulation, whatever. And all the costumes are just slightly different. Like Batman's is like the gray parts are black and the black parts are gray, kind of. And Superman's got like white instead of the red in certain areas and whatever. And they're basically like the evil counterparts of themselves and stuff. This looks like an Elseworlds other dimension of these four people to me. 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 20 years ago, whatever, like that. Especially if you go back in time to like 97, like what we're talking about, and you show the 10-year-old version of me and go, hey, in 2018, this is going to be on a random card. What do you think? I'd be like, you got to be fucking kidding me. And
isn't that the guy that lost his smile? He's still wrestling 20 years from now? What the fuck?
Well, he's he's my favorite of all time. And in 97, he's done forever.
Yep.
And he's also, even in 2007, it becomes, okay, Shawn's like done, essentially, or whatever the case may be with that. And there's no bald Triple H, and they're like, it's just, I don't get it.
Out the mask and in the mask and back out the mask and in the mask again.
And he's a mayor, and Undertaker's lost at WrestleMania at this point, and this is like supposed to be the last time ever, with the context that their last match was the last time ever, because you can't have the end of an era and then 10 years later the era continues for the last time ever.
It was an end of an era. It was the good era. This is now the sad era. Things that you used to like just won't go away.
The end of them being able to actually pull off this match.
And I don't be funny, but maybe I'm alone in this, but this match wouldn't have excited me 10 years ago anyway. If it was Undertaker, Shawn Michaels, yeah, sure. Maybe even like Triple H against Shawn Michaels or whatever, then fine. But I've never really thought the Undertaker Triple H is that important a feud. It's like, okay, it's kind of like
overdone.
Yeah, it's kind of like these two have had too many matches for the like intensity their feud or their feud claims to be. The reason why they feuded so much is because they're the only two old guys that stuck around with wrestling, where the other ones actually either retired or went on to bigger things. Like, these are just the two people that just couldn't go anywhere else or didn't want to go anywhere else.
Yeah, and 3 of the wins in that undefeated streak were Triple H. Like it like you had said, it's so overdone to the point where like I never thought Triple H as anyone's biggest feud. He's just always the guy that filled in when the real guy couldn't be there.
Yeah, when I think of Triple H's like top feuds or anything like that, I think Rock, I think Austin, I think Michaels. Undertaker doesn't actually spring to mind considering how many big like show stealing like end of an era matches they've had or anything along those lines.
Well, I also like that they're advertising this in at least one of the promos where they go, the one man that Triple H has never beaten. Yet, I did the work, because I have a preview thing up on Bleacher Report coming up on Friday or Saturday or whatever. I wrote it like 5 days ago already because this fucking card hasn't changed. But they have had, if you count matches where they're in tag teams or like Royal Rumbles or anything like that, just Triple H and Undertaker in some kind of a match against each other or alongside each other. 42 televised matches together.
God, that's like half Randy Orton, John Cena.
It's, God knows where I would even start when it comes to that one. But that's just the televised matches. That's no house show kind of things and stuff like that. Their first match together, this is all for context, was August 18th, 1997. If you're going with the whole like Triple H has never beaten Undertaker, bold-faced lie. Triple H has had 11 victories over the Undertaker in some capacity, whether it's like Triple H and Shawn Michaels beat Undertaker and somebody, or Triple H won the same Royal Rumble that the Undertaker was in. It still counts. He still won a match that the Undertaker was in.
I specifically remember him pinning the Undertaker to win the WWE Championship in an Elimination Chamber match in about 2008 or something.
Yeah, he's won singles matches, and he's won by DQ, and he's won in multi-man matches, and like that it has happened. They just are flat out lying about it. But he's won 11 times. Undertaker's won 16 times, and 15 of them were a no contest or somebody else won or something like that. But that's 42 times that they've been paired off in some fashion. And honestly, to me, in my mind, if I look at the history of Undertaker and Triple H, I go, okay, so Undertaker won 3 times at WrestleMania.
Yeah, that's all you need to know. That's all you need to know.
That's a hell of a feud. So with this, I mean, if we stay in the bubble of Super Showdown, it makes sense to me Undertaker wins because he's the one who keeps winning. Yet at the same time, if you look at this from the perspective of somebody who knows that it's booked, Triple H should win because Undertaker would make the most sense, and you want to go with the thing that's surprising. Shawn Michaels coming back, we're hearing that it could be Brothers of Destruction versus DX at Crown Jewel, but that there's also a chance that we get Undertaker, Shawn Michaels again, or that we get Shawn Michaels versus Johnny Gargano even, and like all these other kind of things like that. Do they go DX winning their match and Undertaker winning this match? Or do they go with Triple H winning this match and Brothers of Destruction winning the other one? Or do they just say, fuck it, DX wins both?
I could see Triple H winning this one with the assistance of Michaels, which would drag them into the tag team match. Because then Taker's pissed off at Michaels. The other way around, that if Taker won, to me, it'd be hard, unless you're setting up a singles match with Michaels and Taker. It's just, if they're really going for the tag team, it makes sense for Triple H to win with Michaels' interference.
Yeah, I completely agree with that assessment. If you're going to build towards a tag team, you need to have some reason for Taker to want to get his hands on Michaels. And so you have Triple H win due to Michaels like super kicking him or some sort of interference. Because I imagine this match is going to be a lot of smoke and mirrors anyway. I mean, it's a Triple H match, so it's got to go over 20 minutes regardless of how much Taker can move anyway. So, got to expect that side of things. But I think you probably would have the Brothers of Destruction win in Saudi Arabia if you are going to go that route and have Triple H take the pinfall there. And then you could potentially build to future Michaels matches with Undertaker if they want to do that down the line. But I'd say for this show, you have Triple H win.
What if they do a no contest? What if this is
riots
as shitty as possible and they do like the two sides are all fighting and the referee says, I can't control all this, so let's just ring the bell, and then they couldn't fight technically because the two are on the outside, but at Crown Jewel they will be able to get into the ring because, you know.
I'd imagine it's going to be something along the lines of, I think it'll be more along the lines of, like, as they're coming out to the ring, the announcer says that this match has been changed to a no disqualification match, just because they're going to need the smoke and mirrors to cover up the fact that these two are actually really old and they shouldn't really be wrestling in long matches anymore. But that's neither here nor there. It's a sense of, I just think they'll have all the involvement of Kane and stuff like that, but they won't ring the bell, and then Michaels will just get sweet music out of nowhere. Triple H will cover the Undertaker, he'll get the win, and then the Undertaker, to send the crowd home happy, I guess, will just take both of them out and tombstone Michaels, and then you have the build towards the Saudi Arabia show.
This Super Showdown thing is gonna...
Well, that's how it's going to end. It's going to end with like probably Undertaker and Kane with their hands up staring towards the ring at the quote-unquote winners of the match.
Realistically, that's the only reason I'm tuning in.
Yeah, because it's 2018 and we still live like it's 20 years ago. This is nostalgia, the WWE show. They should have called it Nostalgia rather than Super Showdown.
It's 2018 and they can complain about how they don't want to make any stars necessarily, yet you've got a guy like a Braun Strowman who gets over with the crowd and they go, no, you cannot fucking cheer him. And then you got a Becky Lynch and they go, no, you can't fucking cheer her. Because and then you got somebody like a heel Bobby Roode and they go, turn him babyface. And that way we can completely neuter his character. And then like an AJ Styles and people are like, man, I love seeing this guy compete. And it'd be great to see him against Samoa Joe. And they're like, let's beat it into the ground. And then like...
Because at the end of the day, the only thing they care about with the fans' reactions is the one guy who they can't get a reaction from. So, well, they can get a reaction, but it's not the reaction they want. Until that happens, everything else is just kind of a free for all.
I hate being so down on everything like that, but this Super Showdown is just, I hope the fucking payday's good, Vince. Like, you know, because I'm not opposed to the idea of like, hey, if you can get away with doing a little bit of work and getting a lot of money out of it, it makes sense. And they're trying. they're trying at the very least with that.
Complete monkey wrench. The Outsiders return. They screw up the entire match. It's a triple threat tag team match in Saudi Arabia.
And then Hogan returns to be the referee for the match.
He beats AJ Styles, wins the title. Hogan now is the face of WWE again.
All right, if you do that, I'm fucking down. Putting it out there. If that happens, if we get all that kind of shenanigans, and then end of Crown Jewel, we have WWE undisputed Universal WWE champion merged to the two titles. Hulk Hogan is the champion or whatever like that. I don't know. I was going to say I'll eat my hat, but I don't really own hats for the most part. I've got a couple and I don't want to eat them. I don't know. I'll do a special episode of Smack Talk where I just whatever.
Eat a hat,
where you can
watch
us, where you can listen to us literally go insane with as we talk.
Yeah. If that happens, we will do Snack Talk. How about that? And we could just all talk about Pasta Mania.
Yeah.
There you go. Well, those are our predictions for Super Showdown. As I mentioned before, this starts at 5 a.m. if you're on the East Coast of the United States. So, yeah, I'm going to do a post-show. Fucking 10 a.m. I'll have gotten no sleep and stuff like that. And God knows when it'll be posted. If it's going to be like a quick kind of thing or what. But if you want to be aware of when that gets up on the YouTube channel, make sure that you subscribe on the YouTube channel and ring the bell for notifications. And follow the Facebook and Twitter accounts at SmarkOutMoment. You'll get aware some kind of a notification along the lines about that being posted up there. Pay attention to SmarkOutMoment.com for everything else that's happening throughout the week. All the weekly stuff and whatever else we decide to put out there at the last minute or something like that. If you want to show your support for Smark Out Moment on the monetary side of things, outside of the whole like sharing the posts and liking the videos and whatever like that, the things that you should be aware of the most are the Patreon accounts for Smark Out Moment and for Fanboys Anonymous for that matter. If you got $1, $5, whatever the case may be, just, toss it our way. And another thing is the TeePublic and the Redbubble merchandise shops. If you want to pick up something that's going along with that, like the new logo, a little championship belt design kind of thing. That's the Smark Out Moment side of stuff. Fanboysanonymous.com. If you are paying attention to that, Venom review is coming up tomorrow night at some point, and I'm not hearing good things about that. So we'll see if that's anything good. It won't be. And all the other stuff you'll find on fanboysanonymous.com. You could also find like the YouTube channel, Facebook, Twitter, all that other kind of stuff. Just click on there, you'll figure it out. That's my plugs on my side. I'm going to pass this over to these two fine gentlemen. Dace.
Check out twitch.tv/DaceMan and Friends. Tuesdays, 8 p.m. Eastern, we have the Dace Man Show. And then Thursdays, 8 p.m. Eastern, we have D&D Tales of How We Destroyed the World with Cheever as the Dungeon Master. And those are the two things that are actually happening on a weekly basis. So twitch.tv/DaceMan and Friends.
Callum.
Find me on Twitter at Wigmeister14, and as I'm currently doing like rounds of the weekly stuff on Smark Out Moments website, then you can check out the power rankings that I did for the previous 2 weeks, as well as recent editions of like Battle of the Brands that I did, and just other stuff that I did. Don't worry about the other guys, but like just focus on my stuff. You should be able to find it. Its quality is far superior.
At this point, since we're having people like pick up random articles and stuff like that, it might be the weekly article starring Callum. He does every single one of them.
It might get to that point, which I'm not looking forward to, but
yeah, we'll see. Leave your comments below. Tell us what you think about the Super Showdown and anything else you guys want to toss out there, and we will see you next time. Thanks for listening, everybody. This has been another Smark Out Moment, and we are being counted out.